Call the meeting to order. Please rise to the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. I want to welcome everybody. It's here and will be watching or is watching. Right now, I'd ask for a moment of silent prayer, please. Okay, thank you. Start with roll call. I'm starting today. Commissioner Mike Spence here. Commissioner Dove here. Mr. Reed
here.
Culberson
here.
Commissioner Mike Stephen.
Here you are.
Okay. Next is public comments. Anyone in the audience that would like to address the governing body that's not on the agenda? Okay.
I like to talk.
Yeah, that's all you got to say.
My name is Dave Blackburn. I live north of here on 199th Street.
Yes, sir. You got 5 minutes. There's a clock, but go ahead and speak on whatever you want to, sir.
Okay. And I'd like to pass out my little handout with respect to our road's a gravel road. You know, I've been
Thank you, sir.
there 15 years, and it's been a gravel road.
Thank you.
That's fine. Dennis, how long have you been there? 40 years. 1991. So it's been a gravel road, and it's been okay. But if you look at the rocks there, there's a difference between a gravel road and a rock road. And when you look at a gravel road is safe. A rock road, I'd argue, is
Sir,
unsafe.
could you get in front of the mic, please? So
It's hard to hear
record
you.
it. Thank you.
Thank you.
A gravel road is safe. A rock road is unsafe. It's unsafe to puts undue wear and tear on my vehicles. You know, I ride a motorcycle, and the other day I was riding. I was worried about tipping over, and then if I'd even be able to pick the bike back up, and I'm sitting there wondering. Is the county paying for gravel or is the county paying for rock? What is the contract? You know, are you supposed to get 1 inch or 3/4 inch gravel and you're getting this? So am I a taxpayer getting screwed by the gravel company that's being put down on the road? It just seems like that this is unacceptable. Is unacceptable with respect to safety and just what I'm paying as a taxpayer. Dennis, you got anything you want to add?
No, what he's talking about, I brought.
Come on up to Mike, Dennis. Come on up to Mike.
You hear me?
Yeah. We need to get it on recording. Thank you.
Hi.
Sir, could you give
Just say your name and address
Sir, could you
in
give
the
your
mic,
name,
Dan.
please?
What?
Just say your name and address in the mic, sir.
I'm Dennis Higgins. I live on 199th Street since 1991. That road is worse now than it was when I moved in there. I was just cussing that grader guy because he came out and our road was really smooth. It hadn't been worked on since spring. And it was smooth as this. No rocks protruding, no nothing. And he was mad at me. He thought I called him and told him to come out and work on it. I didn't. But as soon as they come out, you see the results. And the rocks that he's showing you in those pictures, that's the smaller ones. There's where we turn to go to 199th Street, not 199th, but Millwood eventually. That is covered with those rocks. I've got some of them I can't get my hand around that are in the road. They dumped them in there and then used the grader to try to straighten it out. You can't straighten out rock like that. It's a wonder somebody hasn't crashed because nobody polices that down through there as far as speed limits or anything. Everybody drives what they think they can with not tearing up their vehicles and having wrecks. But there's a lot of these people now, younger ones, that are on to the west of us, not west to the east of us, that are racetracking. And the other day I went by there and I had to stop because Wagner's house was so brown with dust you couldn't see his house. He's got a big house, great big barn. You couldn't see it. The dust was so bad. I gave up cleaning my car up because it's covered with dust inside. It's in every part of your car. And that's going to be pretty soon. It's going to cost me a lot of money to repair the damage that's done there. And why is it like this? I could understand that, but I've been there since 1991. It's as bad or worse right now than it ever has been. So we're saying zero help from the county on that road. That grader's been out there twice this year, and I'm talking about through the snow and everything else. They don't come back that far. They don't want to fool with it, so they don't. But we pay those same taxes that everybody else is. So we should get a little action from that thing and a little bit of knowing that somebody's trying to do something about it. And Jeff, I think he's put some effort into this. I don't know whether he's going to get it to pass or not, but he's done a good job of trying. As far as I didn't used to like him. I like him now. At least he's trying, and you can't. That's why he's here. And hopefully you guys will work with him and try to help us out. We're not the only people that live there.
Okay.
I know I'm done.
Well, no, you did an excellent job. Mike, you have something?
I have a question for you. When you contacted the county shop, what was their response?
Oh, most of the time they're cordial. They're not being ornery or anything like that. Well, we got this road, that road, and some other road, but we're going to try to get out there. The part I didn't like was when that snow was 4 foot deep out there, and I took my old 1950 mile truck, or car rather, get it right in a minute, tractor, and cleared that clear back to my hands. You know where he lives, because we couldn't get in or out. But they never did come. They finally come and made one path right down the middle, and the guy turned around and left right down the middle. You couldn't get two cars in there. It was narrow. We're just not. They don't pay attention to us out there, but they want you to pay your taxes. I thought sometimes maybe we ought to get everybody that lives over there and say, look, we're not paying any more taxes until you guys do something to make our lives a whole lot better than they are. Anyway.
Mr. Chairman, down on Cantrell Road, we've had this problem again and again. Also, a big, large rock getting put down, and then having to come and clear it off. It's been a problem. I don't know if the issue is they're getting the wrong size, or it's going through the sieve different and getting this huge rock. But we had this issue. Was it a year and a half ago? On Cantrell Road, where they put down a huge rock, and then they had to come out and clear it off, and it was a big mess after they cleared it off because it got down in the ditch. And I do think this is an issue that we need to make sure we are at least addressing. So, Bill, I don't know if you want to address it.
We've got greater ditches that are 2 feet deep right now, where it washed out down through there. If you get off the side of that road a little bit and get in that, you're going to tear the front end out from under your car, and maybe a whole lot more of it.
Yeah, and we can't have this big rock on the roads.
Not just the big rock, too. With that going down both sides of the drive, you can't get it. You've got to get right stop for another car coming and hope he don't go in the ditch on the other side.
Okay, Bill, what's up?
The other question I have would be, is the rock supposed to be, or the gravel supposed to be washed? Because it's not washed, so then it creates a lot of dust. So what are we paying for? If we're paying for tonnage, are we paying maybe 1/5 or 1/6?
Well, Bill's going to address it, but we do wash some of it.
Yeah,
Some of it
let's give Bill a chance to. Right. Bill, you want to speak on that?
Washed. I'll say that first of all.
Bill, turn your mic around because you got.
So we don't generally buy washed rock. There isn't a washed rock would be something you'd use for a limestone chip and seal application. So it'd be screened rock. So if we buy a screened rock, we do buy a screened rock sometimes, especially in the winter. We generally buy screened rock because you don't want the lime mixed in with your rock. So during the summer, we use a lot of AB3. It does have the lime screening still in it, and it's quite a bit cheaper per ton. I believe we're paying approximately $9.85 at the Tonganoxie Quarry for it. and then $15 from the Hams quarry approximately. During the winter and fall, we have started using some screened rock here lately because we're moving into winter and we're just trying to get across some of the roads. So the instance that you referred to on Cantrell, that rock came from a different quarry than this rock would have come from. That quarry is down south. I believe that came from APAC, and they had just dug too deep into the base of their pile and gotten some large aggregate out of the base of their pile. This rock, more than likely, either came from Service or from the Springdale Hams quarry. One or the other. I'm not sure which quarry this rock would have come from necessarily, depending on whether they hauled it from Atchison or here in the county. But for the most part, we wouldn't be buying the greater rock that he's holding here today. Not that it couldn't get through the screen or there couldn't be a portion of it that we're ending up with. I haven't seen this to be a consistent problem for the amount of rock that we do haul. I think this is the second concern that's been raised by a citizen in the last 5 years. So, typically we get the size of rock that we're asking for. Not that someone couldn't have loaded us out of the wrong pile. The dump truck driver is probably not obviously inspecting it. They're just spreading it, and the grader's working with what material they have there. So I can talk to the grader operator for the north part of the county that we currently have working up there and see if he's experienced an issue with this all over the place. And if he is experiencing this quite often or it's becoming a problem, we can address that with the quarry that it came from. After we track down what rock, he would know more than likely. If it happened more than a handful of times, we get a lot of calls on it.
Is there anything you can, Bill, looking at this, I have to agree with these folks that this is some pretty large stuff to be coming down. Looks like it would beat something up. When you get something like this and it's brought to your attention, how do you handle it?
Generally, we contact the quarry and see if they maybe loaded us out of the wrong pile, which generally the dump truck driver would know if it was coming out of the wrong pile because they go to the quarries all day. They would know which pile they're being loaded out of and would probably not occur. It's usually when they get into the base of the pile. I don't know if at the Springdale quarry they were moving to a new quarry area, so I don't know if they got into a new rock ledge or they've been crushing a new crusher run aggregate that could have produced this larger rock. But we would contact the quarry, let them know that we have a problem, and see what explanation they provide. And then if it became a continuous problem, we'd probably avoid that quarry.
Well, let me ask you this. Well, when you see something like this come up, is the quarry or the folks that's doing there, do they make it good? I mean, do they come back out and say, okay, this rock is unacceptable from what we've asked for? Do we get another truck full of rock that's not the size of the...
Well, it's only occurred the one time on Cantrell that we've had the issue, and in that case, we notified the quarry, let them know. They basically said it's within specifications because it could be up to 2 inches, and in that case, the rocks were 2 1/4, 2 inches. They were in their irregular shape, so they didn't honor anything. They just said we'll make sure and try to not dig into the bottom of the pile, but it's case by case. I'll notify. First, we'd have to know what quarry it came from, and then we'd have to notify them and see what response they provide.
Has anybody been up there to look at this?
I didn't know about it, so no.
Okay.
This is the first. As far as I know, they didn't contact the shop, and I haven't heard anything about any issues. This is the first complaint.
Did you contact the shop?
I have, yes.
You did?
I don't know his particular time he's talking about, but I've talked to him about getting the grader out there
What about
numerous
this big
times.
rock? Did you
We just got that about 2 days ago.
Okay.
Okay.
And what?
But that is not the
what's
only
the process? Okay, they've got this on their road. That needs to be corrected. What's the process of getting that? Can we get that road, get that rock down or off to the side and get some new rock on there?
Well, I haven't even seen the picture, so I wouldn't be speculating.
Well, let's do it.
All right.
I mean, you'd have to look at it.
Let's do it like this. We've brought to our attention, Public Works Division does a great job. Every once in a while something happens. Let's give Bill the opportunity to go and look at that and see if we can make this right for you.
But it's not just the rocks. Everybody says, oh, rocks are terrible. They are. They tear up your vehicle. They eat your tires. 65,000 mile tread on a car, I get about 20,000 miles, and they're done. They're bad. And they're also, that dust goes into everything in your vehicle, in your house. I couldn't even see Rick Wagner's house from the road, which is a quarter of a mile. When
The
that
dust
thing went
is a
down
bigger
through
issue. It's across the entire county. I
I'm
live on
telling
a
you,
dirt
it's-
road, and I got the dust in my house,
We're
too.
paying for people to destroy our property.
Hey,
Well,
Bill,
go
what's
ahead,
the
Jeff.
what's the price difference between 3/4 clean and AB3?
3/4 clean is $25 a ton. AB3 is $9.85.
Half
And-
price, less than half price.
3 times the price
3 times.
for screened rock, and then eventually it'll crush out. It depends on the type of rock we're getting. If it has shell in it or is a soft rock, it'll crush out to dust. It really boils down to the amount of traffic that we're getting on some of these roads. Even when we put down screen rock, depending on the quality of the rock that we're getting, I mean, honestly, we have screened rock from the Tonganoxie Quarry that we had produced last year, and after 60 to 90 days, that rock's pretty well crushed out. It's not extremely hard. So, depending on the traffic counts, the ag traffic, the type of traffic, and the quality of the rock, you're paying 3 times the amount, which we do all winter. But it's not sustainable with our budget to just use screened rock everywhere in the county.
I think, again,
Think about that rock
Make
and
it-
go to asphalt like they're doing out there on 87.
we understand. I think the fair thing to do is now that Bill's aware of it, let him take a look at it, and he'll get back with us. You brought it to our attention.
And the only other thing I'd ask is like the road was fine, and so it was kind of frustrating from our point of view.
I understand that.
It didn't need it. So is there a way that we, the citizens, can have a voice in saying, hey?
You guys realize though, when the gravel road is hard surface like you were pointing out, it's smooth, and it's one rain away from being sloppy.
Normally
mess.
that's true, Jeff, but this is,
Yeah.
we haven't had any rain hardly at all this year.
Yeah.
I know,
So
but
it's really
when the
stayed
road
nice.
is flat like that,
Right.
that's not good.
We're tracking.
I mean, yeah, it's
There's
nice to
also-
drive on at
there's
the
also
time.
gravel in between the smooth paths, so that when it does rain,
But that means you're behind on gravel. If you let it get
Bill?
smooth like that, you're
Bill?
behind on gravel.
I have one more
That's
for
the
you.
problem.
All right, well, thanks for letting
Thank
us.
you guys.
Could I ask a question?
Sure, Vanessa, go ahead.
So, are you saying that the quality of rock is different as far as dustier? It's larger than normal than it has been in your time living there? Like, are we saying this is a
I
new
can tell you the
problem?
difference of it if you just look at it when they're dumping it out of the truck. If it's brown looking, it's going to be so much dust going to people's homes and their cars and the stuff. It don't leave. It gets tracked away on your vehicle.
Uh-huh.
If it's gray looking, it's not nearly as bad. It falls quicker. It don't go near as far on people's property.
I'm just trying to figure out if there's a new problem or if this is just the history of dirt roads.
this
Like
is
it.
probably the first time I've seen it this big.
Okay.
At least in my.
That's the key, yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mike, did you have one more question?
Well, for Bill, can you just put it in perspective for people that are listening? How many miles of rock and dirt road the county maintains compared to like the dust abatement?
Well, I don't have the numbers right in front of me memorized. It's on the front page of our county website for the Public Works Department, but it's approximately 375, 400 miles of gravel roads that we're maintaining throughout the county. An additional 350 miles of asphalt, and then there's some minimum maintenance roads of approximately 17 or 18 miles of minimum maintenance roads. So as we have increased growth and increased traffic counts throughout the county, what you see is more and more dust and more traffic throughout the entire county. And so I think it's going to be a problem that we continue to wrestle with. And then what the availability is of aggregate. Aggregate is hard to find in high quality, and so when you do find high quality aggregate, it's very expensive. And so the brown rock that you see is generally cap rock. It's the top rock of the ledge that's weathered. It's turning brown because it's had moisture on it the longest, and so it's usually the softest. So it will produce more dust than others. Sometimes that's the only rock that we do have available. If we haul from the Tonganoxie quarry, there was quite a bit of brown rock this last year, and there was some gray rock. We had over the past 5 years availability of really good gray rock at the quarry, and we started a new quarry area to the west. And as you start new areas, you have to get through that cap rock and through the edge of the ledge before that quality improves, and you're at the full depth of the aggregate. So it's availability and its cost and its traffic volumes. And if you look at the traffic counts from 1991, which was referenced here today, and you look at the traffic counts in 2025, they're substantially higher. I think the county population's probably doubled, and the amount of traffic on these roads and to these subdivisions and going to these places is considerably higher, and it's going to continue to get higher with the more and more homes that we have out in the county.
And just for your knowledge, in the past 5 years, we've paved a lot of roads out in the county. How many of the dust abatement?
I just tried one the other day that's 60.
Was it seven different dust abatements or 8?
We did 7 dust abatement projects, I believe, and then every year, this past year, we paved 5 miles of additional road with county services.
And we're paving County Road 30. We have a congressional appropriation working its way through to get it all the way to 92. So you'll have a hard surface on County Road 30. Down in the Tonganoxie bottoms, we've redone all that and put shoulders with the help of KDOT, of course. But there's been a lot of paving focused on safety, where there's been quite a few accidents. That raises it up on the safety level. But I understand what you're saying. We'd like to pave all of them, but it's so expensive.
It is expensive. But paved road will last 20 years. This other stuff, you're out there dumping rock on 3 or 4 times a year. Big difference. That paved road will last a long, long time. You got Urban out there. He pushed, I think that's chip and sealed, and then they went to asphalt. But he paid for that. It was like $1,300, $1,400.
Well, we made progress. We made progress. We just can't pave them all at once.
Well, I guess, gentlemen, thank you. I think I'd like to give Bill the opportunity. He hasn't been on taking a look at it, and Bill can get back with us and tell us what he thinks. But I appreciate you two bringing it to our attention, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
And just a little comment at the end. I appreciate everything that the Public Works Department has done as far as roads in the last 5 years. It's been a lot of roads. It's been a lot of good things. Thank you.
Okay, is there anybody else in the audience? Thank you, Bill.
Yep, thank you, guys.
Okay, we'll go to administrative business. Before we get started, I've talked to a couple of legislators, and I was wondering, Mark, have we set a date, or do we need to set a date for our legislative breakfast?
I don't believe we've set a date yet, Commissioner. We usually do that late December, so something the clerk usually works the schedule, so we can get that done. Get that taken care of.
Great, okay. County Clerk, Fran, do you have anything? Come on down. Okay.
On the clerk side, we've got all our state reports in. Just waiting for certification on all those. On the election side, after the canvass on Wednesday, we did have 2 recounts. Last Friday, we recounted Lansing Ward 2 City Council.
Right.
That came out right exactly as reported. So, and then yesterday we did a recount on Baser tax sale question for the parks that failed, and it too, same turnout.
Great.
But other than that, now we're just ready to clean up and get ready for the next one.
Yeah. Excellent job. Thank you, Fran.
You're welcome.
Mark,
I had a question.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Vanessa.
How are you?
Good.
There was a certificate of election that was shown to me It states, I, Fran Kepler, County Election Officer of Leavenworth County, Kansas, do hereby certify that the general election in said county on the 4th day of November 2025. Gabriel Michael Mesa received the highest number of votes cast for the office of Unified School District 453 School Board member as appears from the official canvass made by the County Board of Canvassers at its meeting held on the 12th day of November 2025. And
Vanessa,
so, yeah.
Could you read that again and put it down in second gear?
Oh,
We can't hear you.
I'm sorry.
I would appreciate it. Thank you.
You sound
So-
like the teacher on Peanuts.
Or a commercial.
Okay, anyway, so I was just trying to figure out what certificates of election were sent out for the school board race in Leavenworth.
Anyone who wins the race gets
Yeah.
a certificate.
Okay,
So everybody should have gotten one
okay,
that won their election.
Yeah.
okay. That's all I needed. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah, I know that. Okay. Anything else for Fran? Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome.
Okay, then we'll go to the schedule for the week of Thanksgiving. Mark, did you want to?
Commissioners, as you know, next week's Thanksgiving week. Our normal meeting date is Wednesday, which will be the day before Thanksgiving. Typically, the Board of County Commissioners moves the meeting date that week, either to Monday or Tuesday, just to avoid any travel conflicts or whatever. So that's why it's on here, at your discretion.
I
Anybody?
just have a question. Are you going to have a very light agenda that week? Because I may not be in it, period. But we'll see. What kind of agenda do you
It's
have?
not set yet, Commissioner. Not until tomorrow evening or Friday morning will it be set.
I'd like to
Typically,
get
we
it
try
just-
to keep it light, but
You get as
Yeah.
close to Wednesday. How about, is everybody okay with Tuesday?
Yeah.
Willie, Vanessa, Jeff, Mike, I know you may be. Okay, why don't we go ahead and schedule that for Tuesday? Do we need to make a motion to do
Can I get a
that?
motion
Okay.
for that, please?
What is the date on that?
Um,
What is Tuesday's date?
It's 24th, I believe, or 25th.
I think it's 25th.
Move that we change the date to the 25th
At 9 a.m.
at 9 a.m.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? Okay, I vote aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Okay, next thing we have is Riverside Resource Letter of Support for KDOT 5310 grant.
Commissioners, Riverside Resources applies for a grant through the state of Kansas for transportation-related needs. They've asked that we provide them a letter of support again this year. We've done this in the past, so pretty straightforward, and I think there are other organizations that apply for the same grants. But
I don't see any problem with it. It did last year. Does anybody have any concerns?
No
If
problem
not,
with that.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we send a letter of support for the KDOT 5310 grant program for Riverside Resources.
Second. Any discussion? I'll start the roll call. Aye.
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 All right, very good. Okay, Mark, do you have anything?
Nope.
Okay, I don't have anything else. Willie, do you have anything? Administrative business?
No, I do not.
Vanessa?
No.
Jeff? Mike?
One thing, a while back when we were talking about potential revenue sources for economic development, we discussed the possibility of the Airbnb out in the county,
Yeah.
implementing that, and I just wanted to ask the county council what the process would be for that.
Commissioners, I think you're speaking about the transient guest tax. So the county is authorized by state statute to adopt a transient guest tax. It's, if you wanted, we would bring forward a resolution for the unincorporated portions of the county, and then other portions of the county that don't have a transient guest tax. If you wish to go over 2%, we would have to bring in a charter resolution.
So the money for that would be used for economic development, if we're going to develop a industrial park, if we're going to, whatever the county's focus would be, and it could also be used to reduce other taxes like property taxes, et cetera. So I'd like to, do we need a motion or just ask her to bring it forward?
Well, we need to bring it forward. It's on the agenda.
On the agenda, yeah. So one thing to keep in mind, it would only apply to areas that don't already have a transient guest tax in place.
So the amount of revenue it would generate may or may not, but it would certainly be something, because they've been talking about, passing a sales tax. That this would be something that we could put towards projects.
Is that considered a fee, or would it
It's a tax.
grandfather people in that already exist?
It's a tax. It would be any. It would apply to any like Airbnbs or any motels in areas that aren't already covered under a transient guest tax, like the cities.
Okay, I wouldn't mind having it come forward so we have a chance to look at it, if everybody's okay with that.
Like to see it.
Okay, all right. Anything else, Mike? The other one thing I did, I have to have an alibi. I had the opportunity, I know some of y'all did too, to attend the Council on Aging plus the other organization's food drive. Well run, well organized. A lot of food came in for a lot of people in the county. So hats off to everybody. Of course, Council on Aging. Hats off to everybody that was involved in that. I saw them collecting all over the place, Dillon's, at the Cushing, and everywhere. So I was very impressed that we got that going. Okay, consent agenda.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the consent agenda as presented.
Motion and second. Discussion. I'll start the roll call. Aye.
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 All right, very good. Formal board action. Consider a motion to approve the proposed by MRJ Engineering for bid documents permitting and design of Bridge T31 on Fairmount Road in the amount of $17,620. Morning again, Bill.
Morning, Commissioners. Today, for your consideration, we do have the approval of the proposal by MRJ Engineering for the bid documents permitting and design of T31 on Fairmount Road. That is a part of the approved 2026 year
Right.
CIP. It does cover those permits. It is a very, very limited design. We had previously discussed as part of the CIP moving these specific structures into a low-cost bridge design standard. And so that is the process that we are currently following on that. With that comes some inherent risk, but that risk has shown to be worth it in all of the projects that we have done in the past, because there are some unknown variables when it comes to these projects that we have been able to mitigate through the past experiences of the staff that we have.
Okay, questions, comments for Bill? Anybody? Okay, none. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the proposal by MRJ Engineering for bid documents permitting and design of Bridge T-31 on Fairmount Road in the amount of $17,620.
Second.
Motion is second. Any discussion on this? I'll start the roll call. Aye.
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 Very good. Okay, moving along. Presentations. I don't see the folks here.
Yep. So I was looking at that this morning, and they had previously provided the 12th, and I had corrected them and said that they had confirmed the 19th. But I was reviewing to prepare again today after listening to their presentation at the Port Authority. I saw that they had listed their own time as 10 a.m., which I had not provided them. I assumed that it was going to, when I said that they were on the agenda and the meeting starts at 9, but they had listed in their presentation it says 10, so I don't know if...
That's the one we heard yesterday, right, Bill?
Yeah, it's the same presentation. So,
Can we do the work session and come back?
Yeah, I think so. Well, see, is there okay, I think we should, but first of all, is there an executive session needed? No?
No.
Okay. Then I think we can wait for them if we want to go ahead and go into the work session. How's everybody feel about that? Mark?
Feel really good about it.
Okay. Do we want to close the meeting and come back, open it, or just want to continue?
Just leave it open, that way you don't have to.
That's it. Okay. Work session to discuss enhanced voter engagement.
Commissioners, this was brought up last week to add a work session to discuss what the commission could do to try to encourage voter participation, especially, I think last week it was mentioned, for the younger folks. So just put this on at your request, looking for suggestions, ideas on what it is you'd like for staff to do, or anything that you're looking for us to come up with.
Okay. Comments? Let's give them some direction. Give them something.
I got a
Go ahead,
couple
Mike.
comments. We did have, you remember we had the class came,
Yep.
and we had a meal, and I think we should reach out to the schools with a letter and asking the social studies, the history classes, I don't know, other classes that might have interest, whether they want to join us, and we'll give them a tour. We'll let them tour the county attorney's office, sheriff, all the different county offices, and I remember we had a ton of
We
engagement
did.
with them.
Yeah, we did. One thing that I thought we might do first is me speaking, is because Mike, we're heading that direction. I'd like to see the players, and we'll have a meeting with them and sit down with them and get their input on this along with us. So a work session, invite the superintendents or whoever y'all think needs to attend the meeting, and then we can start the process and see what they say, and then work it out on exactly what you're saying, Mike, how we're going to go down the line. But I think we need to engage them as a group.
And I think that's a good idea because when we tried this before, we got very little engagement because I don't think the word trickled down to where it needed to get.
Yeah, so I know out in Lansing it doesn't. So, what do y'all think?
Well, if you do it from both sides of that scale, as the trickle-down effect that you're speaking of, and from the bottom up, I think we have a better chance of getting it done, because then you have a meeting of the minds,
Yeah.
as far as your educators,
Yeah.
and bringing them on board. Because the more resistance that you get from the lower level,
Yeah.
the more you're going to get up top.
Well, you can say too, you look at this, whether it's history or whatever they're calling it nowadays, those teachers, those instructors, I think should be involved.
Yeah.
I also think we need to have the superintendent and the principals involved too. I mean, we don't need 100 people in here, but we need the people, the main players at the schools, to help us walk through this to see where we're at. Of course, we got Vanessa who's sat on the school board, so she can give us some insight as we get going. But I thought we need to get these folks together first before we start saying we're going to do this and do that, and see what their thoughts are.
And one piece of it is maybe not to say that it's for the county specifically or for our area, but that we want to engage in civics education for the students. And civics education is a piece of what we could be a piece of the civics education, and by providing information about local government. But we need them to, I think we want a lot of different areas of the community to engage, because I think that's one of the problems with engagement in the community is people don't really know information about how things work.
I think you're right. And I think by putting this group together, it gets a starting process. The only question I'd have is, who do we make contact and how do we go about making contact so we get it into the right hands? Letters doesn't always work. I can walk the letter into Lansing and talk to a superintendent, but I don't know if that's how we want to engage them, so make sure it gets to the right people that we're trying to talk to.
If we do the letters and do the personal contact, I think we're going to get better resource to bringing the letter to.
Yeah, I think going one-on-one,
to the
talking
board.
with them. Yeah, I agree.
Eyeball to eyeball, we're going to get a lot
Yeah.
more than just a plain letter.
What do you think, Vanessa? Is that the best way to do it? Jeff?
Did one of the entities you guys want to include also include the 4-H? Because a lot of people don't realize. Yeah, I always thought 4-H was just bottle calves and model rockets, but over the years they've completely advanced into, financing for elderly. They have all kinds of programs. So I think this kind of fits exactly what.
I'm hoping for whatever y'all decide. I just want to make sure we don't miss anybody when we start walking and talking.
I think along that same lines, I think we should engage the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, Trail Life, get some of those leaders in here too, because this is about civics education for everyone.
Yeah, I think the thing I really want to make sure is I don't get so overwhelmed with so many people that we can't get going in direction. I think what y'all are talking about, we can definitely add, but I'd like to see the schools, we start off with them first. And if y'all decide to go, that's fine. But we need a handful of people to sit down, and then we start a draft, and then we start bringing in the other folks that we need to bring in, so we're just not a bunch of 50 of us and we just go away and we don't get anything done. I also think the letter, if Mark could prepare the letter that they give to each of us, and we all could hand take it in for our districts and talk to the superintendent and talk to whoever needs to be spoken to get this started. So we'd have to come up with a date that we all want to sit down together and have a meeting and talk about this. But I think it's something we just got to stay on top of. Really? That's it?
I'm in agreement, totally. I think there should be point people designated so we don't overlap.
Yeah.
Because then some individual will get the impression that we've already been talked to about this, and it looks like we don't know what we are doing. So
Well, I think if we stay in our district and do that, and in case they need some help or something, then I think we could make sure we touch most of the schools, no matter if they're outside the city or whatever. I think we can also make sure. I think the first thing is the superintendent, and I know a couple board members out in Lansing that I definitely will reach out to, just make them aware. But I think the superintendent is the first person we need to get to, and anybody else that we think. I'm agree. I don't want to put out so many people that are going so many directions. We need to get a focus with this group, then go forward.
I think your suggestion of the individuals contacting the superintendents from each district, I think would be the best way
Starting point.
To get it going first.
Vanessa, what do you think?
Sounds good.
Jeff?
Sure.
Mike?
I agree. I also think we should reach out to the homeschool co-ops. I think we should reach out to, like I said, the scouts, people that are involved with this.
I
Get
don't
a representative of them here too.
I don't disagree, but I want to keep it where we're not got so many people in the room. If we get with them and then we sit down and we talk about it, they'll be next on our plate to reach out with them too, Mike. I'm not disagreeing.
If it's a lot of people, we can find a space.
Okay.
Well, and I especially believe the homeschool community should be
Okay.
included.
I don't know how we. Well, okay, we got somewhat of a plan. Let's see what we can get the letter written, and then we can start going after the areas that we've talked about. If everybody's okay with that.
You have a preliminary date?
No, I was going to
Not
ask.
yet.
I was going to ask Mark what he thought on that, or did he want to get the letter and come back and report back to us, Mark?
I think, we can draft a letter basically inviting the folks that you want to hand them out to a work session type environment where you can talk about what it is you're trying to accomplish and see what their roles might be in that. As far as a date, I think you're probably running up against some holiday scheduling issues and limited number between here and the
Sometime January.
So probably January, mid-January after the schools get back in session.
Yeah, that's true. So we say we want to schedule and look at doing after the 15th of January. That way everybody's back in gear doing their thing. Is everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Is there a date that we want to look at, or we want to hold off on that?
I'll figure it with
Okay.
with the schedule.
Okay. Everybody good? All righty. Let's keep her rolling on this.
Maybe take a 10.
We're going to take a 10-minute
15-minute
recess since the K-5 modernization project people are not here at 9 o'clock or even 9:30. We're going to take a recess to about 5 till 10. We good?
Second.
Is that direct? I'm just giving you a hard time. We're fine. We're fine. All right.
All right. Yeah.
Some people you just want to tell them to stop helping me. Please stop helping.
Okay, we're ready. We'll go ahead and get the K-5 modernization project. Welcome. Y'all can have the floor. If you introduce yourself, we can get started.
Yeah, thanks for having us out. My name's Jacob Diner. I'm part of the KDOT IPMC. So just a little context, the PMC is a program management consultant, so I'm actually with Burns & McDonnell, but we've been hired by KDOT kind of as an extension of their internal staff to help manage the project. So have some KDOT folks in the room as well. Stephen Cross is the overall KDOT PM, Michael Reinhardt, district engineer, and Ryan Barrett, the area engineer. But I'll introduce the project, and Jeff will kind of get into some of the details. So, yeah, this is the K-5 modernization project for KDOT. This came out of the local consult process that KDOT does every couple of years. This one was moved into the development pipeline a couple of years ago after that last local consult, which means Basically, right now it's in a discovery or study phase, and so looking at the corridor, seeing what the issues are, and then we'll start to look at solutions and opportunities for improvement. But today, mainly going to focus on what the challenges are out there. So right now, again, with it being in the development pipeline, only funded right now for this discovery portion and study phase. Jeff will get into some of the timeline and details on that, but really just kind of want to talk about what some of those challenges and constraints are, but then really get feedback from you all in terms of what our priorities for the county. We know there's various entities involved in this project, from the two counties, the cities, the Port Authority, right? Everyone maybe has a little bit different hierarchy on those priorities in terms of the money and where that funding may go. It's highly unlikely, just to set expectations, that this would be like a 4-lane expressway or even a brand new 2-lane facility with wide shoulders all the way from K7 to 435, but looking at some interim improvements and how we might go about implementing those in the years to come. So with that, turn it over to Jeff to introduce himself and go through the details.
All right, thank you very much. Jeff McCure with Kimley Horn. Pleasure to be back with you all. I was here a few years ago, and Tripperson Smith, we saw this presentation yesterday, so if we leave anything out, jump in and fill it in clear.
Okay.
With me as well as James Siemens with Venice Communications, working with us as a partner and helping to facilitate some of these meetings.
Could I ask you one thing? Could you pull the mic a little bit closer to you? We're tough.
He has railroad ears.
I have old ears and railroad ears, so.
Is that better?
Yeah, as close as you get, that's fine. Thank you, sir.
I'll try.
Okay.
All right. Today we want to go through a few items, just let you know a little bit. We want to talk about traffic operations, what's out there today. When we talk about that, the volumes of traffic and how it's operating, both today and what it would be 25 years in the future if we don't make any substantial changes. So kind of a no-build situation. What would happen if it just remains as is? Then we're going to get into a review of existing conditions, and that's really what we're talking about is the physical nature of the road and some of the crash patterns that we've seen out there. We're going to talk about a draft purpose and need statement. So this is the guiding document, particularly for this discovery phase, that will say, if we're going to look at the outcomes, are we meeting what we all agreed to as that purpose and need? And that's an area
Can
in which
I jump in and ask a question
Absolutely.
before you even start? And I hope you may or may not have this information, but leaving Leavenworth and Lansing, going on 7 down to the Turnpike or down to the I-70, the amount of traffic compared to leaving Leavenworth and Lansing on K5. Do you have the comparison of that?
Yeah, it's. I don't have the numbers right on my hand, but we carry roughly, and we'll show you a volume map here in a little bit. It's close to around 4,000 vehicles a day today on K5, and I believe we're closer to 30 to 35,000 on K7. It gets larger as you get towards I-70.
You're right.
So if I was, before you even get into your presentation, if you're us from Leavenworth County, you could probably see where the focus probably should be.
We'll talk
go
about.
ahead.
Yep, understand, Commissioner. So,
Please continue.
yep, and we'll talk a little bit about kind of the next steps going forward after this and some of those issues. So, from a traffic standpoint, one of the things we do is we evaluate roadways based on what we call the level of service. You may have heard this from past traffic engineers in front of you. It's a grading of A to F, with level service A being pretty free flow conditions traffic-wise, level service F being congestion, recurring congestion. Best way to explain that would be on at a traffic signal where you have to wait through 2 or 3 cycles to get through. That's level service F. What we typically look for a facility like this is to achieve a level service C or better. And today we're operating at a level service A or B along that route. In the morning, and in yellow you can see kind of where we start to get a little heavier traffic volumes. And in the PM peak hour as well, again, level service A and B. As we look at
what's that A and B again? Could you explain that a little more?
Yeah, so level service A and B. Good question. Basically, again, if we're determine how easy it is to move on that route from a congestion standpoint, we grade that from level service A to a level service F. So that incremental, and just like in school, A is good, F is bad. Level service A and B are pretty free flow conditions, meaning you're not often impeded by other traffic that's out there. Level service C would be the goal in a rural area like this, try to achieve that or better. When we get into busier areas, oftentimes D and E are something that we find acceptable because the cost to improve beyond that gets pretty expensive. We do want to try to avoid level service F where we can. Commissioner, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, please interrupt throughout. This is meant to be kind of a working conversation, so it's certainly okay to jump in. As we look out to the future in 2050, what we are expecting, based on some regional travel demand models, that we would see an increase of traffic of about 15% over the next 25 years. So a growth in traffic out there, not a huge growth. There are other parts of the community that grow faster than that, but still a growth that's out there that's somewhat impeded just by the nature of the road and how slow portions of that are.
You said that's 15 years?
That's over the next 25 years.
25 years.
15% increase. Yes.
Okay.
That's assuming no improvements to the road.
Right. That's with the road remaining as is. If you upgrade it and provide a lot of additional capacity, you'll draw some more traffic there and away from something like K7.
So if we have 4,000 cars a day now. In 25 years, currently, we're going to be up to, say, 10% is 400. So
closer to 5,000.
4,500 cars.
Yep.
If we do nothing.
If you do nothing.
Okay.
One thing you have to take, and as I advised you guys yesterday, when they did the turn lane in Lansing 20 years ago, 15 years ago, whatever, they took a lot of the pressure off K5 and something like that. Now, with the way Lansing's grown and what it was able by getting that KDOT grant with all the business up there, a lot of those folks have come to K7 now, and it's getting where it's still safer than it was by only, but you're going to have to leave it somewhere. So if you have to put it on K5, or you're going to have to do something because it's only going to continue to grow. So leaving it as it is I don't think, to me, just my opinion, it's not a solution. I know there's different phases you can do on this to make it better, but it's not going to get any better if we just do nothing.
Yeah. And I think you might recall, and I think KDOT, some of the local KDOT staff here will attest to this as well, when Parallel and K7 was under construction and K7 was down to one lane each direction.
Right.
We saw a lot of traffic divert over to K5
See,
at that time.
normal.
So,
yeah. Okay, thank you.
Do you have a projection on we have the 35,000 cars on K7. Are we also going to experience the same 15% increase in?
I don't have that number with me, but we can get back with you on that. We do have projections for that corridor. So.
Okay. Can you just get those to Mark?
Yes, sir.
Jeff, I don't know if you wanted to touch on, right, like with improving this, there's a diversion of traffic. The more that this gets improved, then the more attractive it is to drivers. And so it's a little bit of a, you're trying to pull in it all together between the two routes.
If you actually look driving from the interchange of 435 and I-70 to K5 and K7, even today, it takes about the same amount of time to go up K5 and over as to go over to K7 and up. So yeah, if you improve that, you'll start to draw more traffic in that area. So moving forward, we did look at the intersections as well in this quarter, and again, they're operating relatively well, level service A's or B's. And even in 2050, the majority of the corridor is operating a level service A or B if we do nothing out there at all. But maybe to dig in a little deeper, though, that's really the volumes, the attractiveness of K5 has to do with the physical condition of the roadway. It is keeping people from driving on that roadway today. We've heard from folks we heard last night at the city of Leavenworth how they just don't travel that road just because they don't feel safe on it. Right. So as we started to look into that, we've got basically 10 to 11 foot lanes on this corridor. We have no shoulders, We've got ditches in many places right up against the side of the roadway.
Right.
And what we're seeing, we've got a lot of other constraints as well. We've got constrained right-of-way. The right-of-way in some portions is only around 40 feet. In other areas, we've got a little bit wider, so not a lot of space to work with in today. We've got federal and state properties on this corridor. We've got the cemetery, the state prison. We've got a railroad down to the south that parallels this, right next to a bluff as well. And we've got a floodplain of the Missouri River all in this area. So it's a challenging area for us to work with.
Yeah.
And as we look at the road as well, we've got some other issues that are out there. One of the things we talk about, and that's the map on your left, is what we call super elevation. That's the banking of the road. So what engineers talk about, how's it curved and everything like that. And we've got some pretty significant curves that we're banking pretty well. We've also got some locations and we're actually banking the roadway the wrong direction. It's actually pushing you off the road instead of keeping you on the road. And we have curves that the driving speed that's really the best is often sometimes between 15 and 25 miles an hour. When you start to take those factors, you take the factors of the narrow shoulders on there, we start to see really some crash patterns that are out here. And the map that's shown here is kind of the concentration of where we're seeing the most crashes and where we're seeing fatal and serious injury crashes. One of the things we do with these corridors is we try to compare that to what you would expect for this type of facility. So if we look at the statewide average for a two-lane highway, we have a crash rate for fatals and serious that is about 10 times what we would expect. If it was a collector roadway or a major collector roadway, we might think of it's still about 3 to 4 times what you would expect.
What does that mean, what we would expect? Do you have
an
objective?
Yeah, so if you take a look at the highways in the state of Kansas, two-lane highways that focus, that operate the way this one does, they have fatal and crash injuries that are about a tenth of what we experience here.
Could you repeat that again, please?
So when we look at a typical two-lane highway in Kansas, we're seeing fatal and serious injuries that are about 10 times less than what you see on this route. We have a lot of, because there's no shoulders, we've got a lot of vehicles that are running off the road. We also have, kind of uniquely on this corridor, we've got a lot of joyriders. We've got a lot of motorcyclists in particular.
Yep.
There's a disproportional amount of motorcycle accidents for people out on the weekend driving this corridor. They're driving too fast. We documented speeds in some locations. We've had speeds that we've measured over 90 to 100 miles an hour. So it's a corridor that you're seeing some unique patterns on.
We got some daredevils, you're saying.
So
Sounds like.
Could I put it in a different way? It's 10 times more dangerous than the average Kansas road. Is that basically?
I think that's a fair way you could summarize that.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking.
And so would you consider that, or do you have a working definition of accident prone?
So there are many, many conditions that go into the safety of a roadway, from the shoulders, which is one of the biggest things, but the curvature of the roadway. One of the things we found was really where those curves got below 35 miles an hour, that's where we saw the biggest concentration. And we've got some very hilly roads in here as well with very short sight distances. This is a road that just kind of evolved. It was never really designed, if you will, in places. So that's kind of what we're working with.
So if this is a state highway and now the state of Kansas has knowledge that it's 10 times more dangerous than the average road, and we also now have the knowledge that we have lots of accidents there, does that not move it up to the top of the priority list?
It is a strong thing that KDOT considers. I won't speak for KDOT on that behalf, but safety is an important factor. They also have a constrained budget like everybody else, so they have to weigh their priorities on where they spend money. That's why we're going through this process today, is to really document the conditions that are out there and start to develop what are some plans and concepts and understand the budgets behind those to see how they could fit in or where they would fit in for any improvements. But Stephen, I'll let you.
And I can kind of address that a little bit more.
Would you come to the mic? Introduce yourself. We can't get on recording. Thank you.
Stephen Cross with KDOT. So, as we've been going through this presentation, you can see that basically from a capacity standpoint, the highway actually functions really well. The reason why I was probably selected to go into what we call the development pipeline was because of the crash indicators that you see there. And yeah, KDOT is aware of that. And so we tasked Kimley Horn to do some investigation, deep dives, and what are some of the potential solutions to reduce those crash histories.
So a follow-up on that is, even if we make some of these improvements, unless we do a complete overhaul of the road, if we just do some of the improvements with shoulders and that kind of thing, are we really wanting to move a lot of extra traffic onto that roadway?
I don't see this section of highway as ever going to be a $35,000 4-lane or 35,000 vehicle a day 4-lane highway, superhighway, or even an expressway like K7 is. K7 is going to be probably the major route through this area. K5 is, I think it's always going to be that low volume, 5,000, maybe 8,000 vehicles a day with improvements, probably. District, I think, would agree with that. Yeah, the K5 is not going to be an expressway type of facility. A nicer 2-lane, yeah, but it's definitely a challenging section. I drove it this morning and noticed several things about it that are going to be really, really difficult.
Yes.
And Jeff's going to talk about that more in the.
But now that KDOT's aware, I mean, I don't know I don't know what your process is across the state. Once you become aware that there's an area that is 10 times above the average, does that not move this up on the priority list?
Yeah. We have spots like this all over the state, right? So, yeah, KDOT's aware of it, and, depending on funding.
But you've got limited funding right now for it set aside.
We do. So chances are this will probably go into next program, which is 2030 and beyond. We're doing the study now. Could be some spot improvements, but we only have 4 years left on this in this program. So by the time we get the study done, the design, we still have to go through preliminary. We select a project. What are we going to improve? Then go into what we call preliminary and final design, and then right away utility relocated. There's utilities all over, up and down the corridor. I noticed. We have, as Jeff pointed out, we have right-of-way challenges all over the place. For cemeteries with, looking at all the facilities that are right up next to the road, it's going to be a real challenge to get anything to fit in there, any kind of improvements. So
we could always put that bridge in. We've been banging on for years, even though we know how expensive it is. Got a lot of this out. Anyway. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
So those
Jeff, I threw it to you on that. You should have ran with it.
Those situations that we talked of really led to the draft, what we call the purpose and need statement. So this is what, as we begin to flesh out different options, we're going to weigh them against. This is an area in which we'd certainly welcome your input and discussion on. We've met with the Port Authority here yesterday, as well as the City of Leavenworth, and they had different priorities. The economic development was very strong out of the Port Authority. Safety probably was strong, as well as some thought for economic development out of the City of Leavenworth. With a lot of different stakeholders, we might have different views. We want to hear all of those as well. So when we talk about that, we kind of boil this down to 3 different areas. Safety. We want to enhance the roadway safety to reduce the number of severe crashes, particularly at substandard curves and intersections. Connectivity, and this kind of leads to that economic development, is we want to improve the connectivity to key regional destinations for all communities along the corridor. That includes providing good access over to 435. And then modernization to modernize the roadway to support future growth of the region and bring it to current standards. So I'll pause there to see if there's any thoughts or comments from the group on those really three guiding principles that we're looking at.
Well, I just have an observation. Connectivity, if you're talking about economic development, I can't see that we want to put a lot of semis out on that road. Because, you're talking about economic development, that it doesn't make sense. That if you're talking about safety, and that's obviously not a corridor to put a lot of big trucks.
I think in its current format, it wouldn't be an area you'd want to put.
Unless you totally
trucks.
redid the road.
They'd have to. And I think that's what they're talking about here is the connectivity and modernization, and then the cost of that. Is that correct?
But that's not even on the table, is it? To totally redo that road's not on the table. What you're talking about is you're going to do shoulders. You're not talking about making it into a Super 2 highway.
We're looking at several different options and trying to identify those cost elements for them, and then we'll start to kind of screen that down as appropriate. So are we going to cost out kind of that Super 2 or a larger one? Yes, I think that's an appropriate thing to look at. What that final solution is something we're going to work through this process to do, with safety and connectivity and modernization being guiding principles, and how we go from there. Steve?
Well, then let me ask you this question. When I was driving it this morning, there's kind of a mix of uses out there, right? So it seemed to me like the northern part was more residential. I saw school buses up there. I saw kids waiting for school buses. That may be a different section, a different typical section where it's, I don't know, more of a city street. More of a city street or an urban area. And to get to your comment about semis, do you really want semis going in that area? So if you do a Super 2 with wide shoulders and stuff, semis are probably going to use that highway and that section of highway. So is there a trade-off? Do you want to kind of limit the amount of improvements you do there as far as?
Let me ask you this. If you were going to do an industrial park somewhere in that area, would what you're broadcasting here or asking here, would the improvements take care of that? Or would we have to look at something else?
As far as kind of a combination of mixed uses and things? Yeah. If it really depends on what the community desires. Is that something that the community wants? And if it is, then we have to figure out how to address that.
Well, let me ask you this then. How long do we have to get our input if everybody get their input in? Because things can change, by the time this comes ready. If something changes over there that it behooves us to go ahead and look at something, whether it be trucks or industrial parks or something like that, is the time frame such that we can make those adjustments or look at that?
So I'm just going to get into the timeline a little bit.
Okay.
But through this process, and this is the early on.
I understand. But I did want to make sure it wasn't, once we get going through that, we can't adjust this down the line, because everything changes.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
So since you're up there, I'm sure you're aware that our priority, the county's priority, was the 152 bridge project. And we wanted the KDOT to give serious consideration to that. And we haven't felt like we've gotten much from the governor's office, and we haven't had a lot of participation. We spent some money on preliminary studies, and we've done some drone pictures and that kind of thing. We think this would tremendously benefit the Northland in the Kansas City, Missouri side, and it would benefit the Northland on the Kansas side, because we would be, 15 minutes from the airport?
7
minutes to the airport. The connectivity, one of our big problems in this community is that if you look at the metro area, we have K7, and it's just a tremendous bottleneck for people to get up into Leavenworth. Where if you had this bridge, getting to Leavenworth would be very easy from downtown. And
I'm not familiar with that project. Maybe
Commissioner, I'm curious, have you all done any cost evaluation on that
So,
project?
real quick, all right. So, I'm the area engineer here, Ryan Barrett. So, yes, I'm aware of this. This was brought up probably back when I started. But, KDOT has no interest in maintaining another bridge. We already have problems with plenty of our bridges in the metro area, let alone, and statewide as well. So, at the time,
Is that a decision from the governor's office, or who's?
No, that was a
whose
decision from the.
KDOT
No,
is
that was a decision from the secretary. The secretary at the time shut it down.
But we don't agree with that decision.
Okay, well,
And so we want you to take that. But I mean, we're not satisfied with that.
okay, well, then you can get a hold of the secretary.
Well, we have.
Well, I think what we're just trying to discuss is we're just trying to make sure y'all are aware of it, everybody's aware of it. New governors come and go, new priorities come and go, so that's what we'll address down the line. I appreciate your comments. Okay, thank you.
Saying we doesn't necessarily represent all five of us. I would like to see us stick on a subject matter.
So you don't agree with the bridge?
I would like
Could we
to see
continue?
us stick on subject matter for
subject
K5
matter.
modernization project.
Okay, we've made that point. Let's go on with this modernization thing.
Thanks for the correction.
Go ahead.
So with that, these are somewhat that guiding from a purpose and need standpoint, if anyone had any thoughts there. If not, we can talk about kind of what's coming over the next 6 months or so to go to some of those questions that you might have. So not seeing that, let you know where we're at today. We are going through a round of public officials briefings. So we've met yesterday with the Port Authority in the city of Leavenworth, today with you all, tomorrow with Wyandotte, Kansas City, Kansas, because about 2 to 3 miles of this corridor is actually in their county.
Yeah.
And then right after Thanksgiving, we'll be meeting with the city of Lansing. Following those, we're going to gather everything we've heard, and we'll be meeting again with KDOT staff following those briefings. It's our intent to actually go out to have some stakeholder meetings as well as some public open houses in the January or February timeframe. We'll kind of see how things work out exactly on those dates. Start to draft a locally preferred alternative for what that vision is, and then we'll be back to you to present that on K5
Great.
as well. With that is going to be a bit of an implementation plan, so you understand the processes yet to go through, because this is really that first step. And there's a number of things that Stephen mentioned earlier that we'll need to before we start to turn a shovel here and start to build this project.
So, question. Are you wanting our input specifically only on this project? Or are you wanting our input on what our views are on what our overall transportation needs are for Leavenworth County?
So if you're asking me, I've been retained to look at K5. So that's the
Okay, because I thought
focus of this.
I thought when you initially spoke that you were wanting our views on the transportation needs for Leavenworth County. That's what my understanding was when you first made your opening remarks.
I apologize if that was a misunderstanding on our part, but no, it's really focused on the K5 corridor.
Okay, thank you.
And definitely,
I would say it is helpful to know, as you've alluded to, if K5 is not a priority and other routes are, at least knowing that of your focus area, I think, is helpful to the team.
That's why I wanted to correct the situation, because we definitely got off the rails. The K5 modernization project is a very high priority. It is the top priority from what I understand from Leavenworth County as a whole. And I'm saddened that we are getting sideways in this meeting. And so I would love for us to hopefully just go back to where we were before it got weird.
Well, Commissioner, I will have to correct you because that was not the priority for Leavenworth County when we went into these meetings initially. Our top priority was the bridge. So we never made that. That did come out in the when they did the study. That was one of the priorities. I believe there were 5 priorities. Weren't there several priorities on the list?
There were several priorities that were identified on that project, and depending on value and lots of costs and other things, from the reason that the county advocated, one of the reasons that we understand that the county advocated for this project was the funding sources and where it was, the scale of this project, while expensive, is still quite a bit less than the new 152 connection that had been discussed. So.
Right.
Right. So our number one
Stephen,
priority from the beginning was not this project. It was the 152 bridge. So that's not and it was changed when they did the.
So what is the
we did a
purpose?
survey from various local governments, and there was meetings and these things. But
What's the purpose of the distraction? Like, this is a K5 modernization.
Well, let me
work
step in this.
session.
Well, I think where it crosses over,
Go ahead, Jim.
I think where it crosses over is they're asking things like, do we want to just make it safer, or do we want to make it a Super 2 and make it more travelable for semi-trucks, things like that nature? That's where it crosses over. To me, and working on this for about 6 years now, it doesn't make any sense to spend a lot of money on Highway 5 because you're not going to speed anybody's travel to Kansas City by improving Highway 5 by much enough to make any difference. That's the crossover. There's a lot of crossovers here. So when they're asking, you just want us to make it safer, or do you want us to make it more Super 2? You're still going to end up at the Walcott Bridge. You're not going to get to the airport any faster by making this a Super 2. Maybe you'll save 60 seconds, but you're not going to improve anybody's travel time to their job in Kansas City by improving Highway 5. To me, this is a waste of money to super improve Highway 5. I'm all for making it safer. You know, for my entire life, everybody knows how dangerous Highway 5 is. So I'm all for making it safer. But spending money to make it a Super 2 to try to tell people that it's going to make them get to Kansas City faster for their jobs is ridiculous. The Eastern Gateway would get you from Quick Trip in Lansing to the airport in 7 minutes. You can't improve Highway 5 enough to make that.
So in my discussions with Senator Klemp this year, what I feel like we're doing right now is spending time talking about something that is not going to happen. That is definitely not on like maybe a 5-year plan or such like that.
And you started out saying that's your opinion out of the 5.
Right, because I wasn't
but
here.
You haven't been here for the last 6 years working
Exactly.
on this project.
Right.
I think.
So I'm working with current information and a fresh perspective. Okay. And I think what we're doing right now is not focusing on what's at hand and maybe even trying to throw a wrench in what we could get. And so that's
I don't
concerning.
agree with that at all.
Let me just intervene here, folks. Sorry, but I think the bridge is a very important to this group, most of us, and Lansing and some other people. But we understand we do not want to go sideways and say we don't want improvements on K5, because I was a cop there for 20 years. In fact, the only car I wrecked was a patrol car in a chase on K5. So I understand it. There was some minor improvements made 15 or 20 years ago on taking some trees down and something like that. But it's well needed, well deserving of your attention. I think when we brought up the Gateway Bridge is just to make sure for the ones that weren't aware of it, and I didn't know if y'all were or not, because that was something that was important to a lot of people in this community, not everybody, as it's been said. So if we get back track on this K5 and go forward with what your questions are, I'd appreciate it, what your comments are.
So maybe just to, I guess, clarify, not focusing on the solutions like you've talked about, maybe some of these other routes or whatnot could be solutions, but I guess back to what Jeff kind of shared and asked about the goals, I guess, from what I'm hearing from the group, still the main primary goal from you all would be, better connectivity. Would that be accurate from what you all have shared?
Well, that gets back to the whole trucks issue. Is connectivity meaning we want a lot of semi-trucks on that road? I don't think the answer is yes to that. But I think connectivity as far as people being able to travel on it.
Right, travel time to and from the airport is...
But there's a real issue. When we started talking about this, 35,000 cars on K7, 4,000 cars on Highway 5. So if you look at Leavenworth County's perspective, where should our focus be? And you're talking, even if we got this improvement, I don't know, we're certainly probably not going to get the Super 2, but some improvements, you said it could get to where we would have 4,500 cars or in 25 years. Well, we already have 35,000 cars, and we have a lot of congestion on K7 right now. And if that goes up, the congestion just goes up and up and up. So you can see what the focus for people in Leavenworth County is. That's a congested roadway. And this is not going to solve the problem of that roadway. You're going to make, I think, like we did on Tonganoxie Road, where you put the shoulders in and you improve the safety, because we had a lot of people falling, they're falling off the edge. So we improved the safety with the wide shoulders and that kind of thing. That's exactly what Highway 5 needs, is improve the safety, get this 10 times accident rate down. But this isn't solving our transportation problems.
And the three things that are listed here, it says safety, connectivity, and modernization. Safety, I'm on board 100%, just like Chairman Smith said. We've seen how dangerous that road is through living here. So 100% agree with making it safer. But even mentioning improving connectivity from Leavenworth to Kansas City on Highway 5 is a ridiculous concept. You're still ending up back at the Walcott Bridge. It's still going to take you 20, 30 minutes to get to your job in Kansas City. This is never going to improve connectivity unless you spent $350 million on it, which you could build the Eastern Gateway for that, is what the study said. So no matter how much you disagree, we understand the Eastern Gateway problems with two states working with each other and all the other problems with making that happen. We get it. But just by saying that is difficult doesn't make this the better option. Highway 5 is not the better option.
Sorry, I thought you were finished.
To get to Kansas City any faster. So connectivity, to me, doesn't even apply to Highway 5.
My understanding with this project is that it was supposed to be a better option than what we have now, as far as helping some commercial traffic have another access point. That was one of the talking points that I heard from the Senate.
And that's what I'm trying to say, is that is not going to work on this. First of all, it doesn't get any faster, and when you talk about connectivity, the number one thing you want to talk about is speed. How long does it take you to get to where you're going?
I understand there's a disagreement. I just want to make sure both sides are represented. And
well, as you can see, there's a lot of passion on both sides on this, and we'll continue going forward. I think it'll be important, too, since there's a lot in Lansing, to when you meet with them to see what their concerns are and how they look at it also. But both sides, they're up here. I think both of them are right. I think it's a future thing, and it's a thing now just to fix it for safety. But that's just my 2 cents. Is there any more to your presentation?
No, that concludes our presentation.
Commissioners, do any of you have any more questions?
Just to revisit the connectivity, and you visit with the Port Authority, if we put there's been a discussion of some land being conveyed from the Department of Corrections. I don't know if you're aware of this. That could potentially become a small industrial park, and it's along this corridor. My thinking would be that the big semis from that would go into Highway 7 and then into the city, not try to route them through Highway 5, unless it was dramatically. If you got a Super 2, but that's going to cost so much money. But if you just do the light improvements, it's probably going to be better to go that way. I don't know what the discussion was with the other economic development folks. Were they concerned about the semi traffic, or was that what was their view on that?
Good question, Commissioner. The topic of redeveloping some of the correctional site did not come up in our conversation. So first, refer to that. Thanks for sharing. The conversation more focused on really from McIntyre and that connection on the south side of Lansing, if you will, across. And being that McIntyre was improved and going from McIntyre, and maybe looking at something different from the McIntyre K7 intersection over to 435 as an option. So that was one of the topics of conversation. Chairperson, you were there. If I misstated that.
Yeah, you're correct.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. So the solutions for this, and Stephen kind of got at this, is it might be different solutions depending on different parts of the road for how we improve safety, and can you do something that gets you some better connectivity to portions of the corridor to 435. So it might be something, the final solution here might be it might not be one solution for the entire corridor. It might be multiple solutions that are weaved together. So,
And that's what we've heard. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, that could be spaced out over time as well, right? Between
Yeah.
various years of implement this, and then a couple of years later as the funding is available.
yeah, this is a long corridor, so it's tough to bite all this off at one time. So.
KDOT needs to be printing more money, but that's just my opinion. Do we have any more questions for this group? Okay, we appreciate you coming up and taking the time and seeing both sides of it.
Yep, thanks for having us.
Thank you, all of you. Okay, let's see. We're down to schedule. I don't have anything for the good of the group. Mr. Dove?
No, I don't have anything, except with the exception of the turnout last night.
Oh, yeah, that was fantastic.
The supermarket in Basler was outstanding.
Yeah, they got some good pictures of Mark, too.
Yeah, I heard, Mark. You got a new hairdo.
Don't say a word.
Thank you for sharing, Commissioner.
Vanessa, you have anything? Jeff?
No.
Mike? No, sir. Need a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Aye.
Aye.
Everybody aye? Mike, you aye? Aye. Okay. Thank you. Good meeting, folks.